Zap 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 lightning, zap zap lightning, lightning.
Hello everybody, just recently we've had the final official reveal of the $1,000 UCS Death Star Waffle, and unfortunately its build still falls flat. It'll be numbered 75419, have 9,023 pieces, and released on October 4th. The box is a nearly perfect cube with an all-black background with the Death Star in several different positions on the front and sides. Addressing the two-dimensional elephant in the room now, the Death Star has been designed to be flat with the design of a waffle, only being 14 studs wide most of the way through. This was severely disappointing upon first being heard and still is. While I don't want to rehash points I've made in several videos already, it's mind-boggling why LEGO passed on the easy slam dunk of making the Death Star in its regular moon shape and instead made it coin shaped. Credit where credit is due because the build isn't necessarily bad, but it would have been several orders of magnitude better if it was just a normal Death Star. Getting onto the build now, we have a mostly flat back with a bad design, but that's okay because that's the side which you're supposed to be facing away from, so usually you won't be seeing that side. We also have an outer ring setting up the frame for the interior. This interior is sectioned off into several small dioramas depicting scenes from the Death Star and A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, and one other room which we'll get to later. Before even looking in depth into the rooms, one big complaint here has to be how small they are. With this being a $1,000 set, they should be bigger, but instead they seem to be even smaller versions of the already overpriced LEGO diorama sets, squeezed into an even tighter space. Another big letdown I'll cover quickly right here is how big the sticker sheet is. The ratio of stickers to printed details here is probably some of the worst we've ever seen in a large UCS set, which is especially noticeable since this is the most expensive and largest LEGO set of all time. Because of this, throughout the Death Star there's a lot of discolored detailing since the sticker colors hardly even match the LEGO pieces. Among quite a few disappointing things with this set, it's definitely up there as one of the worst. Moving back to the rooms now though, they're at the very least designed very well, and throughout the whole Death Star there are no Technic pieces used for connecting them, which makes for having an easier build that's no less stable. Looking at the bottom floor first, we have a small platform to play out Obi-Wan and Vader's duel from A New Hope, which is nice but basically has no details. Next up is the Death Star trash compactor. It's well detailed, can open and close to play out the escape scene from A New Hope, and even has the Dianoga eye peeking out. Our final room here is also the biggest, that being the Death Star hangar bay. It has a jetting out floor area to allow for more space in the hangar bay, and it's relatively accurate. Included in it is a midi-scale Lambda class Imperial shuttle, which is designed quite well for being downscaled. Its wings can fold and set into either landing or flying position, there's enough interior space for Palpatine, and the cockpit can hold a pilot. Unfortunately, on the floor of the hangar bay it's stationed on, there's some stickers with the discolored detailing I mentioned earlier that don't match the floor, which is disappointing. Moving on to the second floor, we have a hallway which can represent several scenes, but is mostly used to represent Han Solo running away from the stormtroopers who were chasing him. The hallway lights are some of the only printed details on this set, and accordingly they look amazing. The other room we have on this floor is the small control room that C-3PO and R2-D2 were present in during A New Hope. It looks fine, but the sticker details are disappointing. On to the third floor now, we first have a small side door which can be opened up to pull out the cell which Leia was being kept in on the Death Star. The first room on the front accordingly has the front of Leia's cell and the hallway that Luke and Han ran through to rescue her. Adjacent to this, we have the prison block control room with a nicely designed console and layout. It has the play feature to open a hole in the middle which can drop a minifigure directly down to the trash compactor, which is cool to see. Right next to that, we have a small section which is supposed to be the Death Star reactor, which is nice to see too. After that, we have the section where Obi-Wan was turning off the Death Star tractor beam while hiding from the stormtroopers. Our last room on this floor has something which I didn't even clock in my last video on the Death Star, and that is Darth Vader's meditation chamber. It looks good and fits snugly in the corner, but is completely inaccurate. A meditation chamber for Darth Vader was never shown on either the first or second Death Star, so LEGO really should have used this space instead for a different scene or place that's actually from the Death Star. They definitely did a good job with designing it, but it still doesn't sit well that it's inaccurate like this. Moving on to the fourth floor now, we have quite possibly my favorite room here, which is the Death Star control room with the super laser integrated in. There's a small control center with space to sit down a couple of Death Star gunners, a walkway to the right of that, and then of course the centerpiece of this room, which is the Death Star laser. The laser has a phenomenal design. The internal structure is very well put together, which is the perfect frame for the dish and the green lasers which spike out. If this was a full Death Star instead of just being a waffle, this would have definitely fit in nicely. Our second room on this level is the chasm across which Leia and Luke swung across to escape stormtroopers. It fits in well with the tractor beam switch beneath it, which I think was a good choice from LEGO to allow for more space to swing across. Our final room on this floor is the Death Star meeting room, which is the first time we've ever seen it in LEGO. Its small size is disappointing, however the table is big enough and has enough chairs to fit all the included Imperial officers. It's not much, but it does the job and fits in well in the UCS Death Star. Moving on to the final floor, I first have to acknowledge the elevator shaft which goes down through all the floors. Our next and second largest room is also our only one based off Return of the Jedi, and that is the Emperor's throne room. Although small, it was integrated in well, with the staircase having enough space for Vader and Luke to face off, and Palpatine in the very back sitting sinister-like on his throne framed in his spiderweb window. The final room that's in the Death Star is a secret compartment hidden in the top left corner. After lifting up a panel, you'll have access to a room with a hot tub and rubber ducky, just as I predicted several weeks before this was revealed. It's the space where the hot tub stormtrooper minifigure stays and is a hilarious and great section to have included. Speaking of the hot tub stormtrooper, we have 38 minifigures included here. There definitely are some standouts such as the Imperial Ambassador, who is likely Janus Greenjadus, Galen Erso, and the hot tub stormtrooper, however it's by and large disappointing. Other than the hot tub stormtrooper, there's no minifigures here with dual molded legs and hardly any have arm printing. While this in and of itself is disappointing since this is a $1,000 set, LEGO also seemingly used worse versions of good minifigures they already had, which is even more ridiculous. Focusing in on one example, LEGO have made a top tier version of C-3PO before with great arm, torso, and leg printing and his one dual molded silver leg. It was made in the UCS Luke's Landspeeder and in a $6 keychain which is still available right now, however here in the Death Star they included a worse version of C-3PO for no particular reason. A lot of the expected minifigures are included here, but the lack of quality is disappointing. Moving on to the gift with purchase included with the UCS Death Star, if you purchase it within a couple of weeks of release on LEGO.com, we have the 40771 TIE Fighter with Imperial Hanger Rack which has 236 pieces. The 3 included minifigures are 1 TIE Pilot and 2 Stormtroopers. The TIE Fighter itself is unfortunately just not good. It feels like a strange hybrid between a scaled down TIE Fighter and a full out 4+ set, and since it doesn't commit to either, it turns out just being bad. Just being straightforward, this absolutely should have been part of the set and LEGO should have included something else as a gift with purchase. It feels like LEGO just took a piece off the Death Star and repackaged it as a gift with purchase. LEGO also marketed the TIE Fighter as coming with the Death Star for a short period of time, which just makes the previous point make even more sense. Overall, the Death Star is a fairly good set with a lot of cool Easter eggs and a mediocre minifigure selection. However, for $1,000, fairly good just won't cut it. I still do like it, but it could have been much better. Alright everyone, that is everything for today's video. Tell me your thoughts on the UCS Waffle in the comment section down below. Which minifigure is your favorite? Which room is your favorite? Do you think the UCS Death Star is good or bad? And one last thing before you leave, please remember to hit the subscribe button, ring the notifications bell, and leave a like on the video. Bye!